Morning viewers, this is Kasturi Day. Today I'm back with the pollination fertilization, some practice questions. Okay, so this practice question will end this chapter. Then I will start with one new chemistry chapter. Okay, so for to begin with, I'll request you to please to subscribe my channel, and if you have not subscribed yet, and please ring the notification bell because that will notify you as soon as a new video is uploaded. Okay, and if you are liking the videos, press the like button and share with your friends so that they can also be benefited from these videos. Okay, and please do meditate before you start your day. So let us start with the meditation first for just 1 minute. Please do meditate. Join with me. Okay, please join with me with please concentrate on a point of light. Think that light is falling on you. And is lightening up your whole body. You're feeling energy from that light. You're getting energy, feeling energetic with that light, and you're feeling happy, you're getting energized, interest in whatever job you're doing. Doing it really, you're feeling blessed by God at the end of the day. I'm successfully planned the whole day. Thank you. Thank you for joining. And let us concentrate on that. The first question for the day we'll start with is a multiple choice question. Which are of the following is one of the characteristics of the which one of the following is one of the characteristic of the self-pollinated flowers? Flowers are large and showy, flowers remain closed and do not open, stigma and anthers mature at the same time, and pollen is produced in very large quantities. Excuse me. They remain closed and do not open. Flowers and large and showy that is not required for self-pollinated flowers. Then stigma and anthers mature at the same time. That is possible. That is required. But mainly, what is where the self-pollination is certain. That is when the flowers are closed and they do not open. There, the self-pollination is the only way for pollination. Okay, stigma and anthers mature at the same time. That can be possible. That can be a characteristic of a cross-pollination also. Okay, then pollen is produced in very large quantities. That is also a characteristic of the plant, which has, which does the cross-pollination. Okay, because in cross-pollination, large amount of pollen grain is wasted. So there has to be large quantities of pollen grains that should be produced. Then exine and entine are the parts of embryo sac, pollen grain, stigma or seed. It's the part of the pollen grain. Exine is the outer layer and entine is the inner layer of the pollen grain. Then state the name of the chief pollinating agent against the corresponding plant by choosing from those given in the brackets. Like dahlia. Dahlia is pollinated by not by crows, not by mosquitoes, but by butterflies. So the answer will be dahlia pollinated by butterflies. Then maize. Maize is pollinated by wind. It's a wind pollinated plant. It's not by bees or not by locusts, not by rain. Okay. Then Vallisneria is a water pollinated plant. It's not pollinated by water, sorry, wind, ants, or rabbits. It's pollinated by water. Okay. Next is fill in the blanks with the suitable words. Okay. Transfer of pollen grains from anthers to the stigma of the same flower is called self-pollination. Different timings for maturation of gynoecium and androecium is called dichogamy. It's missed, maybe it has been not printed, so it will be dichogamy. Different timings of maturing of gynoecium and androecium. Then dash is a water pollinated flower, Vallisneria. Name the parts of the ovary which give rise to seed, its ovule, to fruit, its ovary, and fruit wall is the ovarian wall. Okay. Then give one word or the term for the following. Okay. A flower containing both male and female parts, a bisexual flower. Arrangement of the flowers on a twig or stem, it's an inflorescence. Okay. Then pollen grains of a flower reach the stigma of the same flower. It's the same self-pollination. When maturation time of reproductive parts in a flower is just different, that's dichogamy. When stigma and anthers do not grow up to the same height, which favors only cross-pollination, that is heterostyly. Okay. Then pollination of flower by insects, it's entomophily. And pollination of flowers by birds, it's ornithophily. Okay. Then explain the following terms: ornithophily, elimophilie, elipophily, artificial pollination, emasculation, anemophily, protandry, and cleistogamy. Okay. So first we come to ornithophily. It's defined as the process of pollination by birds. When a plant is pollinated, when a flower is pollinated by bird, then it is known as ornithophilous flower or ornithophily, processes of ornithophily. Then birds that come to feed on the flower, how it is done? When the birds come to feed on the flower material and fruits, often allow the dispersal of the pollen grains with them to their nearby flowers. Okay, they carry the pollen grains on their body, and when they go to the next plant, next flower for pollination, then they transfer those pollen grains into that. When they go to the next for feeding, for taking the nectar or any flower material, so that time they transfer the pollen grains from their body to the stigma, and that is how they will pollinate the other flower. That is cross pollination occurs. So that is done by birds, and therefore it is ornithophily. Clear? Next is elipophily. Now, it is defined as the process of pollination by elephants. Okay? It is found in Rafflesia, whose flowers it's found by elephants, that is elipophily. That's why it's elipophily. And when it is done in the Rafflesia flowers, the largest flower you can say in the world. Okay, so whose flowers are very large and they are found at the ground level. So the pollen grains of one flower get attached to the feet of the elephants, and that may be carried by the elephant to the stigma of another flower, and that is how they will pollinate the other flower. So that is the elipophily process. Okay. Now, artificial pollination. It's a type of pollination which is carried out by human beings. Okay. It's a mechanical technique used to pollinate the plants when natural pollination is insufficient or undesirable. Okay. Then it does not require the help of insects or weather to pollinate. So here what happens, that man carries the pollen or the plant sperm from one flower to another and allowing the pollen to fertilize the ovaries and creating the seeds. That is how they will develop the fruits and then into new plants. So that is how the artificial pollination takes place. Okay. Then we come to emasculation. It is the process of removing the anthers from the bisexual flowers without affecting the female reproductive part, that is the carpel or the pistil, which is used in various plant hybridization techniques. Okay, so this ensures it is also an artificial pollination, artificial measures for the pollination. What happens? The anthers from the bisexual flowers are removed, and uh, the female part is left. Okay, the anthers are removed, but the female reproductive part, the pistil, is remaining intact. Okay, without disturbing the female part, female reproductive part. Okay, this is how the various plant hybridization techniques are performed. And then this ensures the cross pollination. So anthers is not there, so self pollination will not be there. Therefore, cross pollination will only be the possibility. Okay, and that will result in superior offsprings as compared to the parents. It is carried out by crop breeders to improve the crops. Okay. Now we come to anemophily. Anemophily is a pollination which is done by wind. Okay, anemophily, which is done by distributed by wind. Okay, now the plants such as grasses, rushes, and all gymnosperms, they are anemophilous plants. Okay, in this type of pollination, flowers are tiny in size, not so colorful. It does not require so much of color because they will not attract any insects or artificial animals. Okay, not artificial, not any animals. So therefore, they need not to be colorful. They are tiny inside. They don't give off any scent or produce large amount of pollen to make up for the considerable wastage of the pollen. But they produce a large amount of pollen too, so that there is a lot of wastage of the pollen. So to make up that, a large amount of pollen grain is produced. Then the stigma is elaborate, which is generally bifid and feathery, and they come out of the flower to receive the pollen grains. Okay, and the pollen grains, they are very dry, light, and smooth walled, so that they are easily viable by the wind, and they can fall on the stigma very easily. Okay, then carried away by the wind. Then protandry is a condition in which anthers matures first than the gynoecium. The androecium matures first than the gynoecium here, but the stigma of the same flower is not so receptive. That's why there is no possibility of self-pollination, only cross-pollination happens. So this is a type of dichogamy where protandry occurs. That means androecium matures first. Pro means first and andre means androecium. So androecium maturing first. Example, ivy, roseberry, willow herbs, etc. Okay. Then cleistogamy. Cleistogamy is the flowers which do not open at all. Okay, that is cleistogamous conditions. Okay, the flower does not open. Okay, in such flowers, the anthers and stigma lie close to each other, and there is only the possibility of pollination, that is self-pollination. Okay, no cross-pollination takes place. Where anther splits in the flower buds, pollen grains come in contact with the stigma to affect the self-pollination. Example, peanuts and pausing. Okay. Then what happens in the following after fertilization? Ovules, calyx, petals, and stamens. Ovules that develop inside the ovary that will change into seed after fertilization. Then calyx is the collective term of it is the collective term for sepals. Okay, sepals collectively called calyx. Okay, which after fertilization they either stay intact in a dried form or unshriveled form, or they fall off. Then petals, the petals generally fall off after fertilization. And the stamens, that is the male reproductive organ, which after fertilization fall off. Then mention any two contrivances in the flowers which favor cross-pollination. Okay. So two contrivances for cross-pollination are dichogamy and heterostyle. Dichogamy is different time of maturation of the androecium and the gynoecium. Okay, that is the male reproductive part and the female reproductive part of the plant maturing at different times. Then heterostyle, that is different length of the stamens and pistils, which do not allow self-pollination. Okay. Then we have to define the following: fertilization, hercogamy, homogamy, and chasmogamy. So fertilization. Sorry, it's a very hazy picture. I'll tell you. I'll define the following. You please listen to it. Okay. So fertilization, it is the process of sexual reproduction that occurs after pollination and germination of the pollen grains when there is fusion of the male gamete, that is the pollen, with the female gamete, that is the ovum, to form a zygote. So it's a process of sexual reproduction where the male gamete fuses with the female gamete to produce a zygote. Here the male gamete is the pollen and the female gamete is the ovum. Okay. Then we come to hercogamy. It is the mechanical device to prevent self-pollination, okay, in a bisexual flower, okay, in which what happens, the stigma and the stamens are placed at different levels so that the contact with the pollen with the stigma of the same flower is avoided. Calotropis is the example. So what happens in hercogamy? The stamen and the stigma, they are placed at different levels. Okay? It's a mechanical device to prevent self-pollination. Here only cross-pollination occurs. Okay? That's why the pollen will not come in contact with the stigma. It's found, example is Calotropis. Then homogamy is a condition where the anthers and the stigma of the flower are being matured at the same time, which helps in self-pollination. Okay? Then chasmogamy, it is a reproductive mechanism in plants where the flowers are open and the anthers and the stigma are exposed to facilitate cross-pollination. Okay? It's the opposite of cleistogamy. Cleistogamy, the flowers do not open and the pollination takes place within the closed flower, that is the self-pollination occurs. Here, chasmogamy, the flowers remain open and the anthers and the stigma are exposed and therefore cross-pollination facilitates. Okay. I draw a diagram of Anatropis ovule. So this is the diagrammatic representation of the Anatropis ovule. This is the chalizial pole. This is the embryo sac. This is the nucellus. This is the integument, inner integument. This is the outer integument. This is the hilum. Okay, this is the hilum. Then this portion is the micropyle pole, and this then indent is the micropyle. Okay, and this is the funicle. Funicle is the stalk of the ovule, okay, to which it is attached to the ovary. Then comes, draw the figure of germination of the pollen grain on the stigma. So this is the pollen grain falling on the stigma and then it's going germinating. So the pollen grain, which has the exine outside, intine inside, this will grow its pollen tube, and the male gamete of the pollen, male germ cell and the pollen germ cell, that will pass into the pollen tube. This is the pollen tube. The male germ cell will divide into two male gametes, and the pollen cell will form the pollen tube. This will come down, enter through the micropyle, and it will fertilize. It will, through the micropyle, it will enter the ovule, where it will fertilize. The two male gametes will fertilize the female germ cell and the polar nuclei. Okay, and therefore there will be double fertilization, which will result in the formation of seed and the fruit. So this is the representation, diagrammatic representation, the germination of the pollen grain on the stigma. Okay. So this is the end of the chapter. Please do have a, please do go through the whole videos of the text as well as the question answer videos. If you have any doubt, please do write in the comment box. Do share with your friends so that they can also be benefited from these videos. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do subscribe and ring the notification bell, because as soon as a new video is uploaded, then it will notify you. Okay. So till then, please do enjoy and lead your life happily, and don't forget to meditate before you start your day. Okay. So next chapter will be on chemistry. So till then, goodbye. Thank you.